What's good, guys? Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this dark cinematic trap beat. We're going to be breaking down the chord progression, the melodies, the sound selection, the drums, mixing techniques. So with all that being said, let's get straight into it. So for this beat, we're at 149 BPM, and I went with the scale of D sharp minor. So the first sound I started with was this splash preset. This is out of the Bazzazian Tapes in Contact. Really nice retro piano that just sets the tone for the rest of the beat. This might look super complicated, but it's really quite simple. So this is just a really simple minor chord. On this one here, we just drop the middle note to make some tension. We bring it back up to the same chord as before, and we basically do that all the way along. And then here, just for some variation, we drop it down to the A sharp. So the rest of the notes here in between are either just repeating notes in the scale or just adding some tension notes just to give a bit more rhythm. The only other thing that I've done with these chords, just to make them feel a bit more human, is strum them. So I've used the strum setting here on about 25%. After that, I then took all the notes that are lowest in the chord and I brought them down to this octave here. I just stretched them out so they didn't have so much rhythm. And this just really kind of helps thicken out the chords. Just adds in some nice low frequencies. And then these notes at the top. So these are literally just the same notes from here, and they're just copied up one octave. And then I've just pulled the velocity of them down. Kind of adds in a little bit of kind of subtle brightness in the top end. I just randomized the velocities by about 15. After that, I just added some effects. So I started with this EQ8, just cuts out the low end, and a little bit of a boost on the high end. Added some reverb. After that, I just added some portal to give it a bit of texture. I used this 7-phrase preset out of one of these Inception kits from Prod by Viam. I've just taken the mix down a bit. Adds in a subtle bit of texture. Helps kind of keep the pacing and the rhythm going. Then I just have this EQ8 here, which is cutting out some high frequencies. This is automated to come on during the intro and just during this bridge section here. Just takes out the high end. This is a really simple but effective trick to use in intros, bridge sections, transitions. Just pulls out the energy, and then when it kicks back into the chorus, all the energy comes back in with it. The next sound I added was this dark preset out of Noir in Native Instruments. These are just playing a really simple pattern just across 3 octaves. And these are just the lowest notes of each chord in the chord progression. The only effects we have on those is just a low cut on the EQ. And also I've got this return track here with a replica on, just using it to provide width. I've got the time set to really low. Got the mix set to 100% wet. I've got this feedback right down and we're just sending it over to the track. Then I've just got a slight bit of panning on the low piano going one way and the keys going the opposite way, just to create a little bit of room in the center for some vocals. After that, I decided I wanted to put a little bit more high-end energy into the melody. I came into Zenology Pro and selected this Saint Strings preset. These are basically just playing the first 2 notes of each chord. Really helps give it that kind of darker feel. Once again, I've used something from the Inception Bank by Prod by Viam. I've got this set to 100% wet. Here's how it switches the sound up. Kind of gives it like a stutter effect. Then after that, as I didn't want it playing constantly, decided to add some shaper box. This has just got some volume shaping on. I've also just got a bit of pan shaping going on as well. Gives it a really nice kind of dark, eerie feeling. So the next layer I put in after that to make it feel a bit more cinematic was these strings out of East West. This is the Celli Staccatissimo from the Hollywood Strings. These just play a really simple run down the scale at the end of the 4 bars on the chorus patterns. Then later on in the beat, I have a bridge section which has a completely different pattern. This is basically just the pattern from the first keys. I've taken out the top line. So we have this section here. Effects-wise, all this has on it is a low cut. And then I've paired it with this violin spiccato. This is also out of the Hollywood Strings from East West. These are just playing the exact same pattern, but 1 octave higher. Layering up your strings like this is what helps give it a really big kind of orchestral and cinematic feel. As you can see on the panning here, these are just panned in opposite directions. This just helps it kind of feel bigger and kind of more cinematic. After that, I decided I wanted a call and response melody, so I put down these piano chords. For this, I came back into East-West as well. I used the Yamaha Master. As I wanted to make these bigger and more cinematic to fit the vibe, I also paired it with a harpsichord. Here's how they sound together. Just kind of add a bit more brightness into the sound. I always think harpsichord has a really nice kind of dark vibe to the sound as well. Kind of reminds me of those kind of Baroque or even medieval melodies. These both have this BM60 reverb on it. I use the same reverb to kind of pair them together. Here's how it sounds in the context of the beat. There's a really nice kind of call and response for the chords. After that, I came into Heat Up 3 and added this tubular bell. Anybody who's watched the channel for a while know that I always think a tubular bell makes any melody 10 times harder. Like most elements of this melody, this just has a low cut on it. Really simple on the root note. It kind of gives it that hard trap feel. After that, I came back into Heat Up 3 again and I've added this Future Moog bass. I just use this to give a little bit of low end energy when there isn't an 808 playing. So in the intro section, this is just layered with the low piano in the main chords. And it adds that extra kind of punch in the low end. Next, we have an 808. For this beat, I've just used the spins. So this is basically just following the root notes of the chord. I've just added a few rolls, but nothing too crazy. I really don't like to overdo it. The only effects I've got on that is just a kickstart 2. This is just side chaining from the actual kick drum itself. After that, I decided that I wanted to make a kind of big cinematic bridge. So I added this violin in. Once again, this is just out the Hollywood strings. This is the first violin's detache. I'll be honest, no idea if I'm pronouncing that right at all. And this is just starting on the root note and kind of walking up the scale here and then just doing a run at the end. The only effects we have on this is just a little bit of EQ here. Also paired that up with these full strings. The exact same notes. It's over 3 octaves. Once again, these are out of the Hollywood strings. This is the second violin's Mark Sus Light. A bit of a mouthful. And as with the previous layers, these are just panned in opposite directions. Usually if I pan something left, I like to kind of counterbalance it with something on the right. After that, I decided to add this really simple counter melody with the pizzicato. Once again, these are at the Hollywood strings from East-West, and this is the second violin's pizzicato. So together it sounds like this. I've just added some pan shaping with Shaperbox just to make them bounce back and forth between the left and the right. The next layer was another layer at the Hollywood strings too. This one's a viola, so it's slightly higher pitched than the violin. I've gone for the stack slur RR times 4. So this is just the minor chord, but with the middle note taken out. I've just layered it across the 2 octaves. The staccato here and the pizzicato kind of have a call and response going on. That's actually it for the melody. Apart from that, we just got some subtle changes going throughout the beat. So for instance, on the main melody, as soon as it comes out of the chorus, just to bring some energy out, I took away the top line. And then for the next part of the verse, I brought the top line back in. However, I dropped the whole thing down an octave just to switch it up a bit. But that was it for the melody. After that, it was onto the drums. So with it being trap, I wanted quite a nice punchy kick. I'll use one from my upcoming drum kit. Hopefully this should be out soon. A really simple pattern. Kind of follows the pattern of the 808. After that, I added the snare. This is also from the upcoming kit. Really nice kind of snap on it. I added this hi-hat pattern. Quite a simple pattern. I've randomized all the velocities, just added some triplet rolls in here and kind of at the end of the bars. Then I've added these ghost notes in at a lower velocity. Kind of helps to give it a little bit more bounce. I also brought the sustain down on this just so they're a bit kind of shorter and snappier. And I went into the controls here and I added some random panning at 35%. After that, I added in this open hat, and this is just hitting on some of the kicks. Got this open hat panned slightly to the right. The next sound after that I added was this triangle, which is also panned slightly to the right. Adds a little bit of variation in. Next, I have this metal percussion sound, and this is counterbalancing the triangle and panned over to the left. After that, I added in this rim shot. Helps gives it a little bit more bounce. Bit busier here at the end. These also have some random panning on them at 60%, just so they kind of bounce back and forth between the speakers. I added in this really simple crash. This is out the Travis Barker kit from Splice. I also use it at the start of the verses just to give a bit of impact as well. And then when transitioning into the bridge too. I grabbed this snare out of the new drum kit that I'm working on just to make some snare rolls. These just have some shaper box doing some pan shaping. Pattern here is for the first 4 bars of the chorus. And then we have a different pattern here at the end of the chorus. Finally, I just have the Catalyst Crash out of the Keep It 500 kit, completely free kit. As always, link in description below. And I've just reversed this for the transition sections. On the drum bus here, I just have this BX Townhouse bus compressor. Haven't changed any settings, literally just dropped it on there. Always helps to make your drums hit a little bit harder, but kind of glue them together. So without it, you get this. When you turn it on. And as far as my mix bus, I have this NLS bus plugin. Use this on pretty much every beat. It links up to the NLS channel plugin that I have on literally every channel. This is just designed to replicate the sound of analog summing. I have this machine head, which is a tape saturator. I use this on a lot of beats as well. Always put it on this ultimate mode. I have another BX Townhouse bus compressor just to add a bit of glue to the entire mix. I have this Mag EQ. This is a trick I use a lot just in mid-side mode, just to kind of boost the sides a little bit. So usually I use a bit of this top end. On this one here, I've done a little bit mids as well. And I've actually just tamed some of the lower frequencies in the mid channel. Then added this black box saturation. This is my favorite saturation plugin by far. Just got the saturation here turned on. Got the pentode at 51%, so I've just turned it up by 1%. I've got the triode up by 2%. Really kind of subtle changes. Then got this BX clipper, just doing some soft clipping and boosting the volume. I like to raise my volume in stages to avoid distortion, so I've then got the master plan raising this up. I'll actually turn the clipper in the master plan off for the main beat, but I'll just have these on for the BeatStars preview. Then as always, I've just got the tonal balance control just showing me a rough level. The PAS just showing me a rough level in stereo width. Then I've got the VSX plugins. These link with my headphones just to allow me to try different environments. Obviously, I turn that off before exporting the beat. Right, so that's the full breakdown. I'm going to play you out with the final beat so you can see how it all fits together. Let me know what you think of the final beat in the comments down below. If you're new here and you found the video useful, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, comment, share, all that good stuff. And until next time, I've been SK. Peace.